Women of Reddit. What was something you didn't know about men till you got with one? Story 1. That whole thing about the weight of their heart being their stomach? Accurate. I once had time with a guy from Meetings app. I made him breakfast the next morning. He said no woman had ever cooked for him before, looked teary, and now we're married.
I made my ex's Snickers cheesecake for Valentine's Day, and he stayed with me for 3 more months despite not even liking me that much.
Story 2. How rarely they get complimented. I told my guy that I loved his shirt and he didn't even know what to say. He told me he couldn't remember the last time someone complimented him, so I've started looking for little, random things to compliment him on. Story 3. My ex-wife was shocked at how short a phone conversation can be for dudes. My best friend called me once. This man literally flew across the country once to be at our wedding. Called me because he was bringing me to work the next day. Still need a ride? Yep. Okay, I'll be there at 5:30 p.m. Sounds good. And that was it. She sat there astonished and was asking why didn't we want to talk to each other. I really had no good answers either. It's just the way she goes, I guess. My favorite cousin texted me, "We got engaged, best man." Yep. Cool. His wife is still shocked by it. Story 4. When they ask you to leave them alone, they absolutely mean it. They don't mean, leave me alone for 5 minutes, and then start trying to comfort me, or overanalyze the situation, or get me to talk it out. I had to learn that the hard way.
Often for me, that means I know I'm in a bad mood right now, and no amount of outside interference will cure that. You'll just get the fallout. However, I know that mood will go away on its own if I get some time to ruminate.
Story 5. How they can spend an entire day with a person and not learn a single thing about them.
I've known people for years without ever knowing their name. It's kind of strange, because at a certain point you really ought to know, and you're pretty sure the other guy doesn't know your name either. So you just kind of work with it because both parties are too embarrassed to just ask.
Story 6. I've had my female friends ask me how a male friend is doing after a breakup or something. I'm just like, I don't know, we don't usually talk about that.
How is he doing? I don't know. Is he still with his girlfriend? I don't know. Where's he living now? I don't know. Is he still with the same company? I think so. So what did you talk about for 8 hours? The new Ford Bronco, hiking, photography, documentaries, wildfires, bears, and Elden Ring.
Story 7. That when they need to go to the store, they just go straight to that item and then pay and leave. It's something I need to learn.
This only works if the store is not a hardware store or a sporting goods store or some hobby store. I mean, sure, if it's a pharmacy and I want shaving cream, that's what I'll get. If I'm in Home Depot and I need some glue, I'll spend half an hour in the cordless power tool aisle, then wander over to the garden section, then wander back through the grills. I'll leave with the glue and a set of drill bits and a new screwdriver set.
Story 8. There's a very strong undercurrent of self-worth that I see in my friends who are men that I don't often find in my fellow women. To clarify, I don't think this is a universal man thing, but I've seen it a lot in the men around me. The men I know guard their routines and their time with a confidence I desperately wish I had. If they have a Saturday night gaming session every week, the president could be trying to schedule a meeting with them, and they will mark that time as busy. It's a wonderful quality to find in a partner if you happen to be one of his non-negotiable priorities. It is a terrible sign if you are not. There is nothing more dehumanizing than constantly being made to compete with what he genuinely loves time after time. Whenever I refuse to preemptively shuffle my life around until it's convenient for everyone, I've apparently lost my mind. People are way too comfortable asking and telling women how to prioritize and restructure our time. I've learned from the men in my life that this is really just unacceptable, and that my hobbies and interests and friends matter. Story 9. They love compliments and will hold on to them for years. I noticed this with my husband a while back. Whenever I tell him that something he wears makes him look nice, he'll wear it as often as possible. If he tries something on while shopping that I think looks good on him, he'll buy it and put it on as soon as we get home. I love that guy.
The last compliment I received was from my friend's 13-year-old daughter about 4 years ago. She said, "You look really cool in that shirt." Not that the shirt was cool. I was cool in it. It's my first shirt to wear after laundry day. I'm always in a better mood with that shirt on. I will never forget the compliment.
Story 10. How solution-oriented they are in the way they process information. How they really just want me to be happy.
This is a big one. When a woman vents about something, she usually is not looking your input on solution. Like man-to-man venting is usually, "I have this problem," "You can do this to fix it," or "It's so bad," if there is nothing to be done. Just listening is usually enough.
There's a lot of male self-worth that gets wrapped up in, how useful am I to the people in my life? It's important to show that you appreciate it, but it's possibly even more important to try and communicate that you still love him, even when he's not in the middle of actively pleasing you. It's a life-changing experience to have that pressure relieved. Story 11. When I ask, "What are you thinking about?" and he says, "Nothing," he actually means nothing. I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that men could just sit and think about nothing.
I used to say nothing with my ex because I was thinking something along the lines of, "Is oregano a herb or a spice?" Definitely a herb. And I didn't want to say it was something that dumb. After she told me that's exactly what she wanted to know, I started to tell her.
Story 12. My husband will buy something he needs even if it's ridiculously overpriced, like $8 for a tube of toothpaste, just so he doesn't have to go to a second store. Stores and shopping of any kind a bad experience. Also, if I send my husband to the store with a grocery list, I better know where my phone is before I can expect at least 3 phone calls, even if I send actual pictures of what we need.
My dad always used to say, "A man will pay twice the price for something he needs. A woman will pay half the price for something she doesn't need."
Story 13. I don't think she realized how passionate I get with my hobbies. My wife has a remarkable ability to not become engrossed with stuff, and only picks up what she needs. She's moderate and measured, doesn't obsess. Buying a new TV for her is, "Yeah, which one is under $1,000 that you like?" Me. If we need a new car, it becomes a 30-day research project. God forbid we gotta roof the house. I become an insufferable armchair expert before the guy even comes to quote us.
Trying to figure out when I set up another Reddit account to post this because it's definitely me.
Story 14. That they are really emotional, love a hugs, and want thoughtful consideration just as much as women. I know this sounds ridiculous, but I was raised with men who didn't show their emotions or have strong opinions. The first time I got a good boyfriend, I was amazed to find he loved being supported.
My current boyfriend will just crawl into bed with me while I'm sitting playing on my phone and put his head on my chest and one leg over mine just like I do to him. I never had a man do that, so it felt a little odd at first. Not in a bad way, just a "I'm not used to it" sort of way. And I discovered that I love holding him as much as I love being held. I can play with his hair and hold him tight and give him on the top of his head, and I can feel his lil smile when I do it, and it's adorable.
Story 15. It's amazing how much my husband will talk about something he is really passionate about. In the last hour, he has talked nonstop about cars, insurance, and his beloved Prius to a friend of ours, and our friend literally stopped the conversation from continuing so he could leave. Every man I've ever met does this on some level. Story 16. They can be really insecure.
A lot of male confidence is just trying to appear as competent as the dude next to us because nobody explains anything to us. We're expected to just know how to do stuff. I don't know how it is for others, but every day I live the life of a high school kid trying not to get their name called in class.
Story 17. How childlike they can become. My partner 29 and I 22 have been together for 2 years, living together for 1. Up until we lived together, I've never seen him so goofy, silly, and careless like a child. He was always very serious. He says he's never felt judged by me, and I've provided a safe space for him to feel like he can mess around with me, be playful, and be himself. Story 18. They could literally eat the same thing every day forever and not get tired of it.
This caused a little bit of tension in my last relationship. I'm not bad at cooking, but I don't branch out much. I've probably made tacos 100 times this year. Maybe 3 or 4 times a year I'll try to make something new that I saw in a YouTube video. My ex can't eat the same thing again if she's had it within the last week. When I started getting home from work earlier than her and became the primary chef, she got tired of my modest menu real fast.
Story 19. I've had 3 boyfriends my whole life. The first one was very emotional but expressed his feelings. The second one I always found myself telling him he was not emotional, and I thought something was defective in him or flawed. After my third relationship, who was similar with the lack of emotion, I realized many men don't show their emotions. It's because they are raised to be hard and not show how they feel. Women know by talking and ruminating and crying we get our emotions out. Men suppress them to get through.